drowning shadows. The coastal town of Redcliffe was evacuated as the tsunamis approached, promising destruction and chaos. While most of the town's inhabitants were relocated to safety, one place remained untouched by the rescue efforts: the Redcliffe Penitentiary. Deemed too dangerous and volatile, the prisoners were left behind, abandoned to the mercy of the merciless waves. Lucas, a hardened criminal with a long list of transgressions, stood in his cell, gripping the prison bars as the water rose. The cold liquid trickled past his chin, the bitter taste of resentment filling his mouth. He cursed those who had left him behind, promising that they would pay for their betrayal. Suddenly, the prison walls began to crack under the immense pressure of the water, and the cell block flooded. Lucas found himself submerged, struggling for air. As he fought against the current, he spotted a narrow passage that led away from the crumbling cell block. Driven by a mixture of desperation and anger, Lucas forced himself through the passage and found himself in a long-forgotten underground chamber. The chamber was a remnant of an old military experiment gone wrong, a place where once ordinary people had been subjected to horrific procedures, transforming them into monstrous creatures with supernatural abilities. These creatures, now free from their confinement, roamed the flooded prison, wreaking havoc on anything and anyone in their path. As Lucas navigated the dark, submerged corridors, he was forced to confront the terrifying creatures that had once been human. One by one, he killed them, using their own twisted powers against them. It was a gruesome task, but it fueled his desire for vengeance against those who had abandoned him to the watery depths of the prison. Finally, Lucas reached the surface, only to find that the town of Redcliffe had been decimated by the tsunamis. Bodies littered the streets, and the few survivors who had returned were struggling to rebuild their shattered lives. Seething with hatred and bitterness, Lucas decided that he would make them suffer, just as he had suffered in the depths of the prison. Unleashing the powers he had stolen from the creatures he had defeated, Lucas went on a brutal killing spree. The few remaining survivors of Redcliffe were no match for his supernatural abilities, and they fell victim to his rage, one by one. As the last of the survivors perished, Lucas stood in the ruins of Redcliffe, surrounded by the devastation he had wrought. He had exacted his vengeance, but the satisfaction he had sought was nowhere to be found. Instead, he was left hollow, a shell of a man consumed by the darkness he had unleashed. With nothing left to live for, Lucas returned to the flooded prison. He waded into the submerged cell block, feeling the cold water rise once more, and as it enveloped him, he released one final scream of despair. In the end, the darkness he had fought so hard to overcome had claimed him, and Redcliffe was left a ghost town, forever haunted by the horrors that had been unleashed.